Alright, now I'm back and ready to keep going. Honestly, small tip for people wanting to do kind of long discussion videos like this, make sure you have water by your side. Or you're just gonna get parched real quickly. I got my water with me now and I'm ready to keep going. 4 down, 9 to go. Oh boy, we're in for the long haul. Well, kind of in for the long haul, kind of not. It really depends. But anyway, next character on our list is Mai, and I think Mai is probably gonna kind of go without saying, and hop all the way to become our first S rank. Mai, honestly, I mean, I could say it goes without saying if you've seen my Let's Plays, but a lot of my opinions can go without saying if you've seen my Let's Play. And the point of this discussion is to kind of talk after the fact. I really love Mai as a character. She's probably one of, if not the best, perverted character. I really understand it. Also, as a note, Mai and Reo are the last characters till Risa and Mia, to where I've seen multiple stories of them. Otherwise, Maidens and Michaels is my only reference for these characters. But Mai is one of my favorite characters in all of Kiss for the Petals. She's definitely one of the best protagonists. There's a lot I can say about her, but just kind of going through it. I think the thing I love about her most is her really motherly nature. She's a trend that we have with Kiss for the Petals. We have like middle to average class people, and then we have kind of like high society people. Like Nanami's middle class to Yuna's upper class. Sarah, I don't know. I think Kaede is like middle class to Sarah's upper class. So it's a bit more of a balance there. It's not really much of a class thing with those two, but yeah. Mai to me kind of represents kind of like a way of like the traditional like middle class kind of lifestyle. She's pretty thrifty. She's pretty thrifty. It really has like an understanding of the dollar. Kind of like, you know, put like important value to like the dollar sort of, or the yen in her case. You know, she takes care of I believe it's a little brother and a little sister. Yeah, she takes care of her younger siblings. You know, because I don't think it says her parents are home often. You know, she can kind of cook. She can kind of do all of these very mature things, and I really do like that kind of attitude and go about with things. And honestly, it is kind of, I like a lot of that stuff. There's this time, I think it's in Sarah and Kaide's story where, oh yeah, she's helping Kaede get ingredients for the dinner she plans to make. And she says there's a sale, like there's like a sale going on. I think it's for like eggs. And like she goes there, and I think she tells Kaede like don't go, it's not for the faint of heart. And like she comes back and she tells what's like the most mom story ever. Like there's like this huge sale, like she's freaking battling it. She's freaking battling it and duking it out with other shoppers. Like she grabs those eggs and like holds them up in the air for victory or something like that. Something like that. It's like that's like a very that sounds like a very mom story to tell, honestly. Just kind of like those small victories being told in like these epics. So I think she even says like she brought I think she even like says when she brought like Reo to a sale and Reo got lost or like swept up in it. Like yeah, that sounds about right. Anyway, all that stuff really is kind of big appeals on Mai's personality. She's a very helpful character, and she makes for a really good side character in the story. Where, you know, she's very easy to talk to, very easy to rely on. She's very relatable to most of them, but even the people she's not really relatable to, she really does like to help out. And then there's Eris and Shizuku's story, where she's kind of a foil character to Shizuku, and there's one moment where it's like, oh, do you guys want, like, where she's talking to Shizuku, I think it's because they're talking about how, like, they have the same haircut. Like, it comes off often that Mai and Shizuku have the same haircut. And Shizuku's like, oh, do you want to have tea? And Mai's just like, sure. And then we cut over, like, they're in Shizuku's house and they're, like, having tea. It's, like, very traditional. And, like, Mai is very thrown off. Like, she's very out of her element. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know, like, how, like, she doesn't know what to do. I don't know if it's because she was invited to Shizuku's house or it's because Shizuku's very seen as, like, a very traditional Japanese high society sort of character. And, like, she just doesn't know how to deal with stuff like that. And it really kind of throws her off. But she kind of gets into it quickly when she knows it's okay to start being a bit more casual. But I really like her kind of parts in the story. I like her parts on all parts of the story. She's a really good all-around character. And it's kind of like, you can throw, like, Mai into most situations. Mostly with the older characters. And she's fine. I don't know how she'd interact with, like, Misa, Ria. I mean, I have not done that in God knows how long, and I just made that mistake now? Okay. Risa and Mia, or, like, kind of the younger characters. I don't know how she really interact with them, but the way she interacts with all the other characters is very, very interesting, and I certainly do like her relationship with Reo. There's a lot that can be said about Mai, and, like, almost never enough to be said about Mai. She's a really good character, and I feel like a lot of explaining, I can't ever really do her justice. Like, it's one of those things where you really should just see it. But overall, Mai, great character. S rank without a doubt. And, yeah, she was part of my favorite couple for a reason. And, speaking of the other half of that, let's get controversial, shall we? Yeah, Reo's an A tier. So Reo, don't get me wrong. I love Reo. She's a very good character, but she just barely doesn't make it to S tier. My thing with Reo is that while Reo, here's the thing. Simplicity is a very good thing, especially how you balance it. And Reo is an example of good simplicity done well. You know, she's a very simple character. Sorry, I had to get some water. She's a very good character. She's very simplistic. Reo's very predictable. But, honestly, I just feel like she doesn't, like, compare to some other characters that will probably end up in S rank. Again, I only can really see some of these characters that make a ballpark for it, especially now that we've kind of been building around this. But yeah, honestly, she's a very good character, and she's kind of very simplistic, but it's not, I feel, done as well as it could have been. Again, she's a very simplistic character. It's kind of due to the fact of kind of how Reo's character is, where Reo's character is very much, and all the stories, is very much dependent on growth. With Reo, a lot of the times, the stories that she's in, where it centers around her being one of the major characters, it really centers on growth. In the first story, it's more about her kind of overcoming her shyness to confess to Mai, but besides that sort of thing, it's kind of, yeah, it's also about her getting out of her shell. We also learn a bit about her. She's very antisocial. She pushes people away on purpose, which that doesn't, like that gets kind of a proper resolution, but also doesn't. Because, like, she talks about that, like, wanting to, like, get to know people better. That doesn't, like, that kind of gets a resolution, because I think what happened in the first story, she freaked out on a bunch of people, and she, like, wanted to go apologize, but they all, like, suddenly love her and Mai for some reason. I don't really get what was going on there, if I'm remembering it correctly. But aside from that, you know, again, she's an overall, like, it's all about growth. It is all about growth. In the second story, and the second story is actually less about growth, because it kind of just done with the fact that Reo, not smartest, not sharpest tool in the shed. It's more about just kind kind of Mai helping her study. That's like makes a good chunk of that story, by the way. But we also kind of see a little bit more of that confidence that she gained from before, where they go on their first date in that story. She kind of like she gets like a whole she gets like a whole outfit that ends up being her casual outfit, from what I understand, and like that, like she just got that for the date. But yeah, something else that needs to be talked about Reo, where it's just an offense if you don't talk about it, is Reo's tsundere nature. I love it. I am a big fan of tsundere. Okay, big fan of tsunderes. I gotta be very careful with that statement. I've not met a tsundere character that's been. I've not met a tsundere character that's done me wrong. That can sure as shit happen though. Tsundere feels like it's a very easy trope to mess up. I feel like they measure the Tsun and the Dere thing. We hear a lot that the Tsun is just a defense mechanism, and it's not just like it's a defense mechanism. Like the Tsun parts, they're very much a defense mechanism. Just kind of how she grew up. She grew up alone, not really interacting with many people, and so it really helps when the Dere part comes out, because I feel like that's more to true how she would probably actually be. But, you know, again, the Tsun kind of gets in the way of that. But she has so many cute moments. And any moment where she's kind of, like, being more open and true to herself feels very... It feels very real. It feels very mature. And I really love it. Maidens of Michael kind of catches this perfectly. But she also has just some very cute, like... She also just has some very cute, like, regular, like, moments. Just kind of goofier moments. One of my favorite, being in the second story. I didn't do a Let's Play of the second story, so you guys won't know this one. Unless you have already known it. But there's that point where they go to a clothing store. And, Reo has Mai try something on. It's kind of like a punk rock sort of outfit. Mai pops out of the dressing room. Reo is all like sparkly and doughy-eyed. And it's just like, I think Mai's first question is just like, do you like it? Yes. And then she kind of keeps asking more questions, and Reo just keeps saying yes over and over again. And so it gets Mai thinking, because it seems odd. And then Mai asks, hey Reo, what's 2 + 2? Reo's answer, yes. So it's just like she's very infatuated. It's a very cute and very like real moment for her. Because she wouldn't really be that way much. And I just really love the moment. Reo can be a really good character. But again, I feel like since she's very growth dependent, she's very dependent on other characters. She as a character doesn't stand out that much. Like I don't think Reo can, for example, carry an entire visual novel by herself as the main character. It would be interesting in different ways, but it's only when like, oh, I wonder how she'll interact with these other people. It's all it is because everything with Reo is interacting with other people, which, you know, it shows that she can have good chemistries with people. But if it doesn't work out, it really leaves Reo in kind of a bad spot. That being said, the maturity and the arc she goes through with her friendship with Eris, very phenomenal. She kind of like gets very soon with Eris. After it turns out that they're just going to the community college, like, you traitor, or like, you liar. It's very interesting, and I like it, but she might move up to S, but at the moment she's probably staying in A. So yeah. That being said, on to next 4 characters are characters I'm not really all that familiar with. So first up, Takako, and let's put her here for now. This can change though for Takako, and this kind of also stems from a fact from what I understand, Runa and Takako, this is like, for them more than ever, Maidens of Michaels is the end of a journey for them. From what I understand, they act in nature, but like more in the other routes than in their own route, that they're the focus. Takuko's a good character overall. She's kind of that shy, meek character, doesn't have much of a backbone sort of thing from what it seems. But she has a lot of backbone here. But from what I understand, she normally does not have that much backbone. I like the teacher dynamic. It kind of adds like a sense of like maturity. It throws in like, it can throw in like a few like adult perspectives and adult just kind of things where it's like, you kind of see those with Maya a bit, but now it's coming from an actual adult. Like, it's kind of an interesting thing. It's kind of an interesting thing. She adds kind of like a bit of different perspective, and I like her, but I don't know if I can say much about her, except she's an alright character. Because I haven't really read the other stories, and the other stories make me, like, her how she is in Maidens and Michael makes me optimistic, but knowing that that's the end of a route, that's kind of the significant end of an arc. Because if from what I understand, Reina, not by name, but has actually been mentioned a few times in their previous stories because of the relationship Runa has. But she's an alright character, pretty harmless. She has her good moments. She has her kind of out there moments. She interacts with the cast. She interacts with the cast well, but she's kind of nothing spectacular. She's average, and I feel embodies the average team. The point that where I might bump one or two of those characters up to A rank. But speaking of A rank, Runa, come on down. Probably the first instance in which a side character, in which the secondary character has actually topped their lover, for topped their main character lover counterpart. I love Runa in this story. I was really worried about her. I heard she can be a bit of a bitch. And, you know, and how she was in Risa and Mia's route, I could believe it. But she wasn't like that here. But they also say in this story, sometimes Takuko mentions being out of character. That's Runa displaying out of character behavior. So it makes me a bit worried, but I was really worried about this character, but she really knocked me out of the park. I liked her arc. I kind of liked her story. It puts a lot of things into perspective. And I imagine those things in perspective are going to give me a greater appreciation of her in earlier stories, but yeah, I heard she has a bit of an attitude problem. She kind of shows that with Reo, honestly, so yeah, it makes me a little worried, but I really liked her here. Overall, she had a really strong arc. She was definitely embodied that kind of, you know, the above average sort of thing that this route really represents. I really liked her character. She didn't interact that well with other people. She was very isolated from the rest of the gang, and she didn't really interact with the others in the gang that well. So it's kind of like the antithesis of Reo. Where Reo really needs people to like push, like where Reo really needs people to kind of push her forward. Runa's the opposite, and she kind of does well with as few people as possible. Just the few people in her life. Now, this kind of also stems from the fact that Runa and Takuko is a very isolated story from the rest, because they don't even go to because these two aren't even involved in the same high school as everyone else. As Reo's a student of, as Runa's on her last year of elementary school, and Takuko's a teacher of that said school. So yeah, not much to say in this department overall, but I enjoyed both of them. Runa, I feel, was the better of the characters here. I was thinking maybe I'll talk about Reina, and actually, you know, I'm going to talk about Reina right now. This would be the best place to talk about Reina. And honestly, I think I'm going to make a very bizarre decision here. Do I? If I do what I think I'm about to do, I'm going to have to hardcore explain it. You know what? Let's go with it. See where it goes. Though this might end is probably the most prone to change. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put Reo in it. I think I'm gonna put Reina in S rank. Honestly, Reina was a fantastic character. I always talked about how she was very she's like the ultimate foil for the series, as she's the person who's kind of, you know, she's kind of like She's kind of has like this whole kind of like harem leader attitude about her. Like harems would seem to be built around this girl, but I kind of like the whole story they got going on with her. She's kind of the lady of legend. She's been around the block for love. She's been around the block in love before, and you know, there's a bit of mystery around Reina that really makes me wonder a bit about her. Because there's this like one moment, it's right before the bath scene with Nanami. If you don't know what I'm talking about, oh boy, I'm not even gonna try and start. But there's this moment, where she takes Nanami's clothes off her. Nanami doesn't even realize it's happened, and her only response is, I've had a lot of practice, like, getting girls out of their clothes before. It's like, that is like some serious, like, freaking, like, there's like a lot of confidence to Reina. She's very confident, she's very in charge a lot of the time. And I like that kind of character, and I like how they use her. They make her a really good foil character to everyone else. She tends to stick to the side. She's not really main in much of anything. Kind of, except Runa and Takako's route, but even then, a lot of the emphasis is on Runa in that route. But like, I like how she's used. Her very kind of eccentric, kind of out there nature is used to be very much a different type of mentor to these girls in love. She kind of, you see her pulling shit all the time behind the scenes. I think like the only time she doesn't even really get directly involved or is mentioned is in Mai and Rei. Never mind. She invites the girls back to the house for that, which helps Rei motivate get new friends. Okay, never mind. She's kind of involved in every of these stories, even if she doesn't make direct appearances. She's always seeming to do things and has like a lot of this influence and power, and I really like seeing where it goes. And I like the serious moments too, like her backstory with Runa is a very interesting part of her story, and I like the whole thing going on. It's kind of sad that she kind of, spoilers, that she kind of left, it seems, but I think I heard that she's in Snow White Knight. I don't know if she's a teacher in Snow White Knight or if she just happens to be there. I don't know. Reina is some special type of character, but they're definitely not going to forget about her. And I do hope she kind of becomes more of a kind of permanent fixture and mainstay in the series, because she is a really great character. Alright, final four. And honestly, these two are probably, Risa and me are probably going to be an episode in themselves, if not an episode in themselves each, because goddamn. But I better just get going. Shizuku! Yeah, I told you this S rank would have people. Honestly, Shizuku, I was always hype as shit for Eris and Shizuku. I could never tell you why. For the life of me, I could never tell you why. But Shizuku ends up delivering on that. She's a very interesting character. She's definitely kind of a very similar character to Kaede. But she kind of takes that moment to kind of takes those types of character traits and adds a bit more personality into it. Definitely has a lot more confidence going on, and she kind of like has these kind of like interesting little quirks and traits that just makes her a really good character overall. I love Shizuku. I'm really looking forward to her and Eris' stories. I'm really looking forward to them, but I guess it's just what I can say is that I like the characters overall. I don't have much to say. I haven't played all their stories. Her kind of handling of the loneliness and kind of the arc she goes through, again, very similar to Kaide's arc, but because the way I can almost say it is that Shizuku is just a very significantly better version of Kaede. But I feel even that doesn't do Shizuku justice, because she has a lot of her own traits and her own little quirks that makes her a very different character from Kaede, but the parallels just come a lot. And honestly, she is a very good character, one of my favorites. I love her S rank without a doubt. And hey Eris. I'm sensing a pattern here, like, hey Eris, welcome to A rank. Honestly, it's probably just because I haven't really gotten to know Eris that well. I believe Eris is the only character you actually don't see the perspective of in the entirety of Maidens of Michael. Everyone else you switch to at least once, and you might switch to Eris at one point, but I don't remember it. Kind of because of how Eris is used in the story. Eris is very much a non-entity in her own story. She's a major entity in my and Rayo's story, and her friendship with Rayo is amazing. I love the friendship they got going on, but because of kind of the way that they want to tackle Eris and Shizuku's story, first being about doubt, being about kind of self-doubt and anxieties, then moving on to separation anxiety, with a lot of that with Shizuku being the focus. Eris doesn't exist a lot in this. She's in the beginning a lot. I love the Christmas event, and when I heard they were engaged, oh boy, I frickin' almost screamed like a little girl. I was so excited. I loved it, without a doubt. But yeah. I loved the whole thing. Eris, I feel, just because of how she is, I feel like we don't get as much of her as I feel we should. She has a lot of good things. She kind of has this little childish, playful thing going on with Rayo that's very funny, but you know, we see also these kind of like mature talking moments. Like we see kind of these mature moments with Shizuku. She can get very serious, and I love the story they tell with these two, but Eris sadly becomes a non-entity because of how it has to be told. She has to just very much not be there since it's very Shizuku focused. That being said, the personality there is more than enough to just propel itself. If she was around more often, or if we've got maybe a perspective scene or two with her, she'd probably shoot up to S rank easily. She's one of my favorite characters. She's one of my favorite characters, and definitely up there. And that's all from one story, meaning we'll see more of this character. And yeah, I feel that's all I can really say. Now on to Risa and Mia. Oh boy, I don't think there's any. Honestly, I don't think there's much of a surprise for where these guys are going to rank, but I'm going to hit them one at a time. S rank, Risa. Amazing character. Honestly, I'm floored with this character. I like the way her story's told. I like the way her story is handled. I was considering putting her at A rank for a minute, but no, she's definitely an S rank character. But the fact that I might have put her on A rank, let me explain that one, as that kind of puts things into perspective. Risa's a very almost predictable character in some ways. You get the sense of her character very early on in Maidens of Michael. She's kind of, she's very much the one not in control, but she's also like, she's the class representative, the rule follower, the stickler kind of in those ways, and she rarely ever deviates from that. But the story they tell with her, like, and keep in mind, she's a lot more of a hard ass in Remembering How We Met. And if you've seen Maidens of Michael's without remembering how we met, and she's like, she can be even more of a hard ass. It's like, yep, without a doubt. I love the story they kind of tell with Risa. She makes for a very good protagonist. She makes for one of the best, probably the best protagonist, honestly. But that is a position hard fought for. Because aside from Reina, everyone else in this tier is a protagonist. Her interactions with everyone are great. She has a lot of those. She kind of has like a lot of those she's kind of like a combination of what I loved about everyone else in this tier. She has kind of like that very interactive ability, kind of foil character thing that she can do with Mai, where she fits in a lot of other stories really, really well. She's not really much of an eccentric or kind of out there, but she has her moments. So I guess that's kind of like Reina-ish. But she also like has that kind of whole maturity, down to earth sort of thing that Shizuku's got going on. And she does that all while being her own little individual element. She's tsundere. It's a lot more downplayed than with Rayo, but it's very adorable. It's kind of a cute thing with her. I absolutely love it. Like they go through a lot of freaking story arcs with her in Maidens of Michael. Like her feelings for Mia, like kind of how that evolves, how to react to being in love when she's in love, once they have sex for the first time, or even just a little bit before that. even before they've had sex. Kind of that like that dealing with lust sort of situation. I was just kind of like fighting lust. We have that stuff going on with her mom. There is a lot for Mia. Not Mia, Risa. There's a kind of a lot to unpack with Risa, and I'd be here all day if I tried to go into detail about it. But I feel like Risa's personality is kind of just a 5-star, amazing sort of. She's this 5-star amazing sort of thing, and she's honestly a great character. And while I say there's a lot to go on with Risa, and that's why I love her, we kind of go on to our last character, Mia. S rank, without a doubt. Yep, she's the only couple. Risa and Mia are the only people to share a rank that are share a tier that are a couple. Honestly, where Risa is great for all these many different things, Mia is great. Mia is an amazing character, one of my favorites, because I have a relatability with her, I feel, and I had a bit of a relatability with her, I feel, where I was kind of that more quiet to the side character. This is more talking about remembering how we met than Maiden's Michael. But there's kind of like that quiet to the side, kind of wants to slink into the shadow sort of thing with Mia. But Mia also wraps around that with layers and layers of mystery. Like she has a lot of these kind of little interesting attitude quirks. She has this unwavering confidence, this amazing intellect. And we kind of get a justification for the intellect, but we kind of like, there's all this shit about her that almost makes her a bit of an enigma. And like, especially that shit with her parents. She's an amazing character. I love her. She's an amazing character and I love her. That's why I feel like you can summarize a lot of people with that. But there's a lot we don't know, and I keep wanting to know more, because they give us enough information to be interested in the story that's kind of going on around these guys. But like not much more than that, and I kind of like that. I keep wanting to learn more, but I feel like as we learn more and we get more into her character, almost like with more answers comes more questions, and like, and I love the relationship they have, kind of the very real, how she can be very real with Risa, and kind of the very different character she could become around Risa, and I like kind of seeing that smart, like perfect attitude thing kind of crumble, because sometimes she has no idea why she acts the way she does. Like she sometimes has like no idea why she acts the way she does, and like she's part of so many great moments. The balcony scene, her confession is one of the best. Oh my god, I love it. But yeah, that's just kind of it, I guess, all I can say about that. And with that, we're kind of at the end of the tier list. So to summarize it, D tier had nobody. C tier had Yuna and Kaede. B tier had Nanami, Sarah, and Takako. A tier had Reo, Runa, and Eris. And S rank had Mai, Reina, Shizuku, Risa, and Mia. I love this cast, and I love every part of this cast. And let it be known that even if some characters slipped into D tier, they'd still be probably some of my favorite characters ever, because Kiss for the Petals does not really make bad characters. And I love everyone here. They're absolutely amazing. There's not much more I could say, except that's kind of my opinion. That's kind of why I like all these people and just kind of discussing it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of I hope you enjoyed this kind of different style of video. I feel like this is a type of video I want to keep doing more of with more characters, and I like the tier list format as it really helped me organize and really think about my opinions of these characters. Because I expected a lot more people in S rank, but then thinking about it, slipping them into A rank, kind of changing people's ranks, and I feel I'm pretty set in stone about this. I'm not gonna like start micromanaging the ranks and say who's my favorite definitively or my least favorite definitively, because I don't think I can go into that much detail. Maybe in a different video I'll take this list and kind of follow it up, but yeah. Anyway, like if you enjoyed, I plan to do more content like this in the future. And yeah, and everyone, please, feel free to let me know what your own tier list or your own kind of favorites or least favorite characters are and why. I made this a format. I don't know if it's public, but I think I can link to this format anyway for maybe you people to bring down in the discussion and kind of like make your own things. And hey, if you make your own, feel free to like link me to them or like explain them or maybe make your own kind of like videos in reaction to this one. And you know, if you link me to stuff like that, I'll definitely give it a look and kind of like see if we can get the discussion going more. And I'll definitely make more videos. I'll definitely probably do a follow-up to this video way later down the road once I'm more familiar with everyone and more stuff has been going on. But I'm content with it. I'm content with how it is now. I feel my opinion isn't going to change much, but if my opinion changes much, it's probably just going to be a lot of characters getting higher ranks because they get even better. Anyway, that being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Again, I'm going to try and maybe link this in the description, but we'll see how that works. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I'm glad and willing to hear all your opinions. I might even respond to a few. Of them, and yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with, I guess, something else. See you guys then.